12:19 on this Football Friday. Welcome back in. This is Jock's three-man front. Pat and Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. Landrum on his way to Hartford, Connecticut as UConn takes on UAB. Molly will be back in the studio with us on Monday. Joining us now on the Higginbotham hotline from AL.com. He covers the Auburn Tigers. Peter Rauterkus joins us now. Peter, I hope you're doing well as the weekend's about to get started.
Doing well. Thank y'all for having me.
Always a pleasure. All right, so let's start with last week in Fayetteville, Arkansas. As Arkansas, the defense, obviously, we knew going into the game, porous. Auburn had to bench their quarterback, but Auburn found a way, especially defensively, to get the turnovers to get the win. Your biggest takeaways as you left Fayetteville?
I think, like you said, just found a way to win. It's a team that was coming off 4 straight losses, in which, you could argue pretty much all of those games they should have or at least could have won all 4 of them. And so, Arkansas was definitely not the same caliber team as they had faced before them, but, a really, really good offense. And, it was Auburn's defense that came through and, 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter and really won them that game. So it was just didn't fix everything, but, it was obviously, I think, a sigh of relief for everyone to kind of get that win and cool down some of the speculation and pressure, at least for a little bit.
So, Peter, I know that Coach Hugh Freeze, he said that it's been a difficult, decision this week in practice, talking about Jackson Arnold and Ashton Daniels and saying that they both have looked good during practice this week. Just from your personal opinion, who do you think will get that starting nod with the first-team offense tomorrow when Auburn hosts Kentucky?
Yeah, I've said throughout the week that I'd be surprised if it wasn't – I'd be a little surprised at least if it wasn't Ashton Daniels, just given – he replaced Arnold during the game last week. They went on to win the game. We were there in practice Tuesday. Ashton Daniels was taking the first-team reps. He was the first one up in a lot of the drills. He was the one who spoke to the media this week on Tuesday. So the sign, if you kind of read into the signs, they point toward Ashton Daniels being the starter. But, every time that Hugh Freeze has talked about it, he said, it's open. We're not going to make a decision or announce anything until before the game. And he's still saying he's confident in both guys, especially talking about how much he's liked how Jackson Arnold has started games, especially the past few weeks. he started 7 for 7 against Arkansas before things unraveled and he had to pick 6. So, but with all that said, I still think if I had to bet it, I'd still be surprised if it wasn't Ashton Daniels starting the game tomorrow.
Now, again, this is just conjecture. This is just speculation. But let's say it is Ashton Daniels. Do you believe that it would be kind of on the same type of pitch count as Jackson Arnold was on last week at Arkansas, meaning that, okay, if a couple of things happen, the leash is going to be short, making the change back to Jackson Arnold, or vice versa? If it's Jackson Arnold starting and you get through those scripted plays, and then all of a sudden you want to spark, you bring Ashton Daniels back in.
I think so. I don't see this as a situation where, all right, we're changing the guard. This is our guy, and this is going to be our guy no matter what. I think definitely if it's Jackson, and if he starts fast again, but starts to stumble, I think they'll do the same thing they did last week. And if it's Ashton, I think the same thing. I don't think they'd pull him at the first sign of things going bad or the first mistake. But I do still think that they feel good about Jackson Arnold, and that if they feel like they need a spark and that a different quarterback would provide that, I think they'd go right back to him.
So heading into this game, you look at Kentucky defensively, and they're, let's be honest, they're not great defensively, but the strength of that unit for them has been their run defense, at least up to this point in the season, Peter. So when you're looking at this game from an Auburn standpoint, maybe, you've got some injuries at receiver, maybe Cam Coleman's still a little dinged up, Malcolm Simmons as well. Do you think that this is going to be another game? Last week you had 50 rushing attempts from the Auburn offense. Do you think you're going to see that replicated against Kentucky? Even though that does seem to be the strength of their defense, it also seems to be the strength of Auburn's offense.
I think it's just who Auburn is, so I think that's what you kind of have to do. Look at the Missouri game a few weeks ago. Missouri came into that game with a really good rushing defense. And Auburn came in, they committed to running the ball. They had some success. I believe Jeremiah Cobb went over 100 yards in that game, and he's just been on a roll these past few weeks. So, yeah, I'd be surprised if they went away from that, especially with, like you mentioned, Cam Coleman. It sounds like he's going to play, but, how will he be his normal self? We'll see. Same with Malcolm Simmons. Then, obviously, the uncertainty at quarterback as well. And then both quarterbacks you have are also threats to run, with Jackson Arnold and Ashton Daniels. So I think I don't see the game plan changing much despite the opponent.
Peter Rauterkus joins us for a few more minutes here on Three Man Front. He covers the Auburn Tigers for AL. Let me ask you about the injury situation. I was reading the availability report last night. It says Malcolm Simmons, Cam Coleman, Connor Gibbs, all probable. Cam had that really bad twisted ankle against Arkansas. He had to try to come back and perform in that game, a gutsy performance. What are you hearing on that front? Do you anticipate that Coleman and Simmons both will be a go come tomorrow?
I think Cam Coleman, Hugh Freeze said himself, on Thursday, that Cam Coleman's going to give it a go. He said he liked how he was moving around during Thursday to kind of jog through. Malcolm Simmons, I think, is, still probable. So I think it's still, you probably expect him to play. But, Hugh Freeze said that was an injury that happened. I think he said he hyperextended his knee in practice on Tuesday. And so kind of a we'll see. But I think Malcolm has still been trying to play, and I think that's the way things are trending. But definitely two players to watch, in Auburn's passing attack.
So, Peter, I want to pick your brain a little bit about this Kentucky offense, and particularly Cutter Boley, the freshman quarterback who's had to step in for them. And again, maybe not the highest bar that was set there for quarterback play the last couple of years, but for a young guy, I've been pretty impressed with what he's been able to do, especially over the last 3 games, all against ranked teams in the SEC. So if you're the Auburn defense, and particularly that secondary, how big of a concern do you think it is going up against a quarterback like Cutter Boley? And is this an offense that could cause some problems for Auburn tomorrow?
Yeah, like Hugh Freeze mentioned earlier this week, it seems like he's been progressing as the season goes on, which, you'd expect from a true freshman starting in this league. He had 330 yards and 5 touchdowns against Tennessee last week, albeit against not the best defense and secondary at Tennessee. But if you look at Auburn's defense has been really good, and I think they have some good individual players in the secondary, but they've had some issues this year with giving up big plays in the passing game. We saw that against Arkansas, in which, Arkansas has done that against just about everyone they played this year. But that's going to be something, for Auburn to really have to focus on this week, is trying to prevent those. They've got a guy like Kendrick Law on the outside, who obviously people around here are very familiar with in his time at Bama. So I think that's going to be the biggest key for Auburn's defense, just preventing those big plays in the passing game.
I got to ask you, being around that program on a daily basis and knowing it was pressurized heading to Fayetteville, Arkansas, how much relief do you sense this week around the football program after getting that first SEC win?
I think there's definitely some relief momentarily, but I also think that they understand that can all go away very quickly with, depending on how this game against Kentucky goes. But then they also know if they take care of business again, that, there'll be even more relief. So yeah, I think there was some of that, but, Hugh Freeze has said that trying to avoid feeling that relief going into this week, trying to bring the same hunger, because, just really, if they lose this game, I think conversations are heating right back up the way they were before last week.
So, and that's kind of where I wanted to go next with it as well, Peter, is, this is a big game, right? Because you feel like if you get this one, you feel pretty good about the Mercer game, and then you're going to be bowl eligible. So I guess my question is, how important, outside of just the bowl situation, how important is it to get this win if you're Auburn, to show that you can stack up wins in the SEC, albeit against not the toughest competition, but knowing that you have Vanderbilt next week? What would that do, you think, for the confidence of this team heading into a matchup against a very good Vanderbilt team next weekend?
It's huge. Obviously, every game is huge, and you want to try and win, every game on your schedule, particularly in SEC play. But like you mentioned, I don't know that beating Kentucky, because you're supposed to beat Kentucky, is going to move the needle that much when it comes to this team and the expectations and, kind of relieving some of the pressure that has been put on them. But at the same time, you kind of need it to, move on to the games where a win can do just that, So I think just winning is going to be a requirement in this game. And, you do that, you give yourself a chance against Vanderbilt to where, you beat a top 10 team, at least they're a top 10 team right now on the road. And, I think people are all of a sudden thinking differently about this team and about Hugh Freeze. So, yeah, a win against Kentucky would definitely give them confidence to do that. I think the biggest thing is just taking care of business in what could easily be a look-ahead spot.
Okay, Peter, you're in the business of breaking news and reporting on stories. I know you're not in the business of speculation like we are in sports talk radio, but I am curious if the unthinkable happens and Kentucky pulls the upset on Saturday night. Do you believe that there potentially could be a move on Sunday afternoon in regards to the head coaching position at Auburn? Do you think this is something that it will have to be decided much later in the season, if that is a question?
It's hard to say exactly. Obviously, the way these things happen and how quickly they can happen. But I certainly wouldn't be surprised either way. I think there was a thought that that could happen after the Missouri loss, and obviously it didn't. Hugh Freeze is still coaching. But obviously, but I think losing to Kentucky, would probably hurt a little bit more than losing to Missouri, given that they're not a ranked team and given that they're a team that you're kind of expected to beat at home. But just the way these things go, it's hard to really give a definitive answer.
No, and listen, Peter, that's fair. Again, it's based on what happened in Baton Rouge on Saturday night, and we've seen coaches, whether it's Billy Napier or Jimbo Fisher, get fired after wins. So if somebody's made a decision to go one way or another, it shouldn't shock anybody, whatever might potentially could happen on Sunday. Well, Peter, always appreciate your time. Excellent breakdown of the game coming up against Kentucky. We will chat with you very soon. Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. That's Peter Rauterkus joining us from AL.com. He covers the Auburn Tigers for AL.com. He was on the Higginbotham hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. More three-man front on this Football Friday when we come back. It is 12:34. Welcome back in. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks. Pat Smith, Conrad Van Order. We're now joined in studio. Damian Mitchell from the Damian Mitchell Show with special guest Conrad Van Order. Weekday mornings from 6 to 7 here on Jocks. Man, now I feel like I'm part of the show. You know, I listen every single morning as I'm eating my Frosted Flakes.
Long-time listener, first-time
It's just weird. I mean, I'm kind of giddy, to be honest with you.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Like I'm like on the Damian Mitchell Show.
Yeah, absolutely. Also known as Morning Jocks from 6 to 7 with Conrad Van Order and myself. Yeah, appreciate y'all having me. How is it? Do y'all still do Filthy Fridays? Has it gotten out of whack?
I'll be honest with you. When Langel's not around, it's not as filthy.
Makes sense.
I mean, but we have gotten some text messages. You know, Faye, are you familiar with Faye?
I've heard about her a couple times.
In a nutshell, apparently we have a listener named Faye who is a big fan of Conrad's.
Okay. I'm assuming Faye is female.
I assume. We've never met her.
Oh, okay.
Or him. I don't know.
Right. That my fault for misgender.
But what was the very first text? It was something about a gag ball. What was it?
Excuse me?
Yeah, it was on a Friday. It was about something. I can't remember what game it was. It might have been the Georgia game. But she had invited me to go watch the Georgia game at her house, and she was talking about
her cousin coming over, right?
Yeah, her cousin was coming over, and they have like all these Alabama decorations, and one of them was an Alabama ball gag.
Yeah.
That she was kind enough to offer to me if I attended the.
Did you attend
the watch party?
Did you go to the watch party?
I did not. I watched that one.
But I'm saying,
at home with my wife.
There we go. Why would that be a gift for somebody to watch a football game? Usually, most people like to holler or use elevated voices. I feel like that's going to hinder the sound. I don't know. I ain't ever used one, so I don't know what you use it for. To silence the Alabama's fans or something? I'm not sure.
So that was one text.
Mm-hmm. That was the start of
the relationship.
Passionate love affair.
And then just systematically.
Yeah, just once a week she'll pop up and invite me to something that she's got going on, whether it's an Alabama thing tonight.
It's a Halloween party, right?
Today it was a Halloween party. Yeah, I was invited to a Halloween party. That's a adult Halloween party. After the kids have all gone to bed, she said.
Is this one of the parties where you drop your keys in a bowl?
It might be.
Listen, they're ball gags there, so there's no telling what may happen, man.
There's probably some pineapples there too.
Hey, listen, I'm not an Alabama fan, so I don't know how they get down, but most Alabama fans I know they don't participate. They don't participate in stuff like that. They're a little bit classier than that. But
hey, hanging out with the right people.
Obviously not.
Here's a loaded question for you: what SEC fan base would?
That seems like more of a South Carolina thing, because their mascot.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
No, that's Texas A&M all the way.
The Milkmen
with their overalls.
Specifically, the Milkmen, yes.
So anyway,
happy Friday.
So see, it just took Damian coming in here to make it filthy.
No, I was just asking. I didn't know the tone. I didn't see. This is like the opening script of the second half, man. I don't know what y'all were doing in the first half, but the second half, I'm here.
Listen, we're like Jackson Arnold. We've already run our scripted plays.
Wow.
And so now we're just like we're freebasing it.
Oh, so I'm Ashton Daniels. That's what you're saying. So, okay, I'm coming in to clean up y'all's mess. Sweet Jesus, man.
Yeah, but you're on a short leash, so.
Well.
Speaking of ball gags and leashes.
Happy Friday, y'all.
Oh, big time.
Who do you think is going to start tomorrow?
I think it's Ashton Daniels.
And I'm with you. It's to this point, you've already opened the can of worms by benching him last week.
Yeah.
And I think it's more detrimental to go into the following week and say, I don't know which one we're going to
What did he do wrong?
Right.
That would make him not be your starter after you put him in.
Right.
And you won the game.
All the evidence is there. So to me, it should be, all right, Ashton, you're QB1. You show me everything you need to do during the week. Come Saturday, your name will be announced on that on the Jumbotron. To me, again, it wasn't like he went out there and lit the world on fire, but the offense was still the same, I guess you would say, as far as he didn't turn the ball over, which was big. But it wasn't like he went out there and threw for 200 and some yards. I feel like the script was still the same. The plays were still there. But as far as just the fluidity of the offense, Jeremiah Cobb was the one that was keeping everything afloat. And now you see that he can carry the ball 28, 30 times. Like he's the next one of the Auburn running backs that we've seen for years of, hey, just give him the ball and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, Peter Rauterkus, who just joined us a couple minutes ago from AL.com, he laid out a perfect scenario. I mean, you get this win against Kentucky, then all of a sudden, the confidence that you had out of Fayetteville, you're getting the steam that you need,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're going to Nashville and you're playing a really big game in regards to what potentially is going to happen. So,
What's he giggling
I
about?
don't know.
Do y'all just lose y'all's professionalism on Fridays? Like, y'all just let y'all's hair all
Wait a
the way
second,
down.
time out.
Somebody changed the name of Texas A&M.
Yeah, I can only imagine. You assume that we had professionalism before this even started.
Mistake number one. That is mistake number one. But I'm with you. But the thing is, it's Arkansas and Kentucky. Like, these are two terrible teams in the SEC. So how much realistic optimism does that give you? Because, oh yeah, we found ways to win. You never want to, downplay a victory, but they're against two of the worst teams in the conference.
Right.
So it's okay now. All of a sudden,
you can't get too excited about it.
Right. It's all about being reasonable. So you telling me wins against Arkansas, and again, no offense, but I don't think wins against Arkansas and Kentucky necessarily move the needle that much of, oh yeah, we're a lot closer than what you already were, because you've already lost to the teams that are actually close, the Oklahomas, the Texas A&Ms,
Right,
and things like that. So realistically, what does that really give you except one more SEC win than you had last year?
Well, I gave this stat yesterday. Under Hugh Freeze, they are 7-3 on the SEC network.
Okay.
If you're looking for an angle.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
But do you realize that when Auburn has been trailing at halftime under Hugh Freeze, they're 2-11.
So you're basically saying they need to start fast.
That scripted plays. Got to be successful in those scripted plays.
You're right. And that's the thing. They have. But I don't know. To me, in a game, like the flow of a football game, it does change after you get past that script. It's okay, you go to the sideline. And again, defensively, Auburn is playing lights out. They're doing everything they are supposed to do defensively to keep you in ball games. And really and truly, they could shut teams to sleep. Like, they could really blow teams out because their defense is playing that well. But offensively, it's, okay, one, you go 3 and out. All right, you fix it. You get a first down the next drive, but then you end up punting or something, or you have a missed field goal. Like the Missouri game. The Missouri matchup to me was just so puzzling because your defense, that was the first time I thought the defense is tired. Like, they can't keep doing this. You just cannot keep doing this.
Yeah.
Then they ended up turning the ball over. And offensively, you couldn't get out of your own way. And there is too much talent on that offensive side of the football for us to be having this conversation in week 10.
No, against the opponents that you're playing. Yeah, makes sense. For more than 4 decades, Alabama Professional Services, they have been the trusted choice for pest control, termite protection, lawn care, fertilization, and more. The certified statewide teams at APS, they're experts, they're friendly, efficient, and reliable. Call them today at 205-951-9717. Whether you're looking to safeguard your home from pests or keep your yard, lawn healthy and green, APS can deliver proven solutions backed by dependable customer service. Call them today, 205-951-9717, or go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com. When we come back on Three Man Front, we'll have a discussion about, is this a play-in game for a couple of teams? Maybe 4 teams in the SEC tomorrow with Oklahoma, Tennessee, Vandy, and Texas. The losers of those games in big-time trouble in regards to the CFP. We'll get into that next on Three Man Front. So what's at stake this weekend? Some big games in Austin and Knoxville, Tennessee. We'll get into that. Is it a play-in game, a play-out game, whatever you want to call it? It's big games for Tennessee, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, and Texas if you want to continue to have that conversation.
Well, if you stepped outside early this morning, this was apparent to you. But if not, we all know that as football season moves along, changes in the weather are coming. It was freezing cold this morning, and you want to protect your HVA system with a checkup from a trained comfort specialist. So when the cold weather hits, you'll have peace of mind that you're already protected by America's most reliable and trusted brand. Go online today and find a comfort specialist near you at train.com.
All right, so number 18, Oklahoma, 6-2 on the season. They're visiting number 14, Tennessee, 6-2. That's a 6:30 game on ABC. The Sooners currently a 3.5-point underdog on the road, which will likely serve as a playoff elimination game. It's only the start of a brutal stretch for the Sooners. They go to Alabama, they host Mizzou, and they finish against LSU. That LSU game looks a little bit different now with Brian Kelly gone. A Tennessee win could help set up a playoff play-in game in Knoxville against Vanderbilt in the regular season finale. So there's a lot on the line here. According to ESPN Analytics, if Oklahoma beats Tennessee, Oklahoma's college football playoff odds are at 13%. If they lose to Tennessee, it's less than 1%. So they're out. If Tennessee beats Oklahoma, according to ESPN Analytics, that means Tennessee's playoff odds jump to 32%. So just kind of going around the room, Conrad, start with you. This game between these two teams, not really who you think is going to win, but do you agree with that this is absolutely a play-out game, so to speak, for whoever loses this one?
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And I think part of that is, maybe this isn't going to be the year that a 3-loss team gets in. We thought last year it might happen. It didn't. We thought this year it would happen, and it very well may not. But I think, again, you look at the odds for Tennessee, I think it's showing you right there with what you've seen from Oklahoma and who they've lost to versus Tennessee, who's lost to Georgia and Alabama. And, the Tennessee or the Alabama game wasn't particularly close, but they were competitive in that game. The Georgia game was obviously quite close. I think that's showing you the respect that the committee will ultimately have for Tennessee over Oklahoma. But, yeah, I don't know down the stretch. If you were going to beat a healthy Missouri, which they're not, and an LSU team that was in the top 15, which they're not anymore, I think that would have opened the door for a 9-3 Oklahoma team to get in. But now, because of how Missouri and LSU have fallen, yeah, this is a must-win game for them and for the Volunteers.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Basically, the same points. It's if you're Oklahoma, you lose this game, you don't have that saving grace anymore.
You don't have that resume builder.
No, not at all. And for Tennessee, kind of to Conrad's point, the committee's already or at least the rankings have kind of showed you that we can allow a loss to Georgia. We can allow a loss to Alabama.
Sure, but you better win.
But you better win the rest
games.
of the way.
Yeah.
And the best thing for Tennessee right now, assuming that they knock off Oklahoma, you need Vanderbilt to keep winning too. So it's crazy that we're talking about this in 2025, where Vanderbilt it's almost a playoff team. Like if they finish it all out, Vanderbilt is in the college football playoffs.
Yeah, I think another problem for Oklahoma is you just go back and look, I'll put my hand up. We might have hyped up Oklahoma a little too much at the beginning of the season because they were playing better before obviously John Mateer had to go and have hand surgery. But you go back and look at their schedule. I mean, really the only win that you're going to look at and be impressed with was the win at Michigan early on in the season, because the rest of the SEC schedule, maybe it's not all their fault, but Auburn's not the team we thought they were when they played. South Carolina hasn't looked very good, so that certainly isn't helping them or doing them any favors in that committee room, I'm sure.
Well, I'll agree that for Tennessee, even if they beat Oklahoma, they need Vandy to keep winning. So the other game of importance to both Vanderbilt and Texas, 9th-ranked Vandy, 7-1 against number 20 Texas, 6-2. That's an 11 a.m. kickoff. Our teammate Greg McElroy will be on the call. They're in Austin. Vanderbilt will be knocking on the door to the college football playoff and potentially, this is crazy, and potentially an SEC title game if they can beat Texas in Austin. Now, a loss would likely mean the Commodores would need wins over Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee to be back into the college football playoff mix. Now, for Texas, this is it. This is it for them.
Yep.
This is an elimination game. You lose this one, I don't care if you beat Texas A&M at the end of the year, it's not going to matter.
No, most likely not. See, And I want to agree with you because I think that's how it should be.
But you think because it's Texas, they'll be given the benefit of the doubt?
Well, who else do they play? Georgia. If you beat Georgia and Texas A&M, again, I'm not saying that that's how it should work.
True.
But I could definitely see there being some people putting their hand up and going, I mean, this was the number one team in the country, according to the voters at the beginning of the year, which doesn't mean anything. But they're the number one team in the country, and they just beat two, what would be, if they keep winning, top 5 opponents in the final 3 weeks of the season. I don't think they should be left in if they lose this week and then win those games, but people are going to make that argument because it's Texas and it's Arch Manning, and well, look how far they've come.
Right. Because you look back, Tennessee was kind of in this situation last year with an ugly loss to Arkansas team that wasn't that good. But then, they lost to Georgia as well. But they had a win against an Alabama. They ended up, being a top 25 team. And also in Oklahoma, they made it to a bowl game. But I think for Texas this season, you almost have to do it in style the rest of the way too. If you do win out. Now, I think, as long as you beat Texas A&M, you're fine. If you find a way to beat Georgia. But there has to be a sort of a style because you still won't be able to – your wins are going to outweigh the losses that you have, but they're just going to be they're so questionable of, okay, if you can find a way to beat Texas A&M and also Georgia, explain Florida.
Yeah.
Like, how did this happen? And then there's close calls with Mississippi State, the close call with Kentucky. It's a little too much yin and yang. It's, okay, when y'all are good, you're really good, but when you're off, you're at the bottom.
I would like to add, I don't think they win any of those games, by the way. I was just playing devil's advocate, but
I understand.
I think they go 7-5.
All right, so if Vanderbilt beats Texas, according to the ESPN analytics, Vanderbilt's college football playoff odds, 51%.
I'll tell you right now, if they win this game tomorrow, they're in the playoff.
Think so?
You get Auburn and Kentucky at home, and then the Tennessee game probably doesn't even matter. Yeah, they're in the playoff.
If Texas loses to Vanderbilt, Texas's odds of making the CFP less than 1%.
That's about right.
Now, if Texas beats Vanderbilt, Texas has a little bit of hope. It's at 6%. So they lose, they're less than 1% chance. If you beat Vanderbilt, you're at 6%. You only gained 5 to 6 percentage points by a win over Vandy.
Okay, so let me go back to the scenario I presented you. They beat Georgia. They lose to Vanderbilt, but they beat Georgia and Texas A&M. What if they lose tomorrow and Arch Manning doesn't play? Because as we've seen, right, that's a precedent from the committee.
But here's my point of view, because the fact that he has not lived up to the expectations,
right?
I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt.
I don't think they deserve it.
Because
but
guess what?
Someone's going to give it to him.
But guess what? Arch Manning wasn't the quarterback that got him an overtime win in Starkville.
True.
So you've already proven to me that you
can do it
that
without him.
You can win a game without Arch Manning. So to me, if I'm sitting in that committee room, that conversation is not even one we're having.
Well, I hope they share the same mindset that you do then.
Yeah,
I'm sure they won't.
I could just see that. I see that happening, man.
All right, coming up next, we are going to talk a little high school football. We've got playoffs right around the corner. Kyle Parmalee will join us for a short visit as we will talk about what has transpired over the first 10 weeks of the season and what could be on the precipice of the high school playoff scenarios for next week. That's all straight ahead, the fourth hour of Three Man Front.